Good morning. Well, the Lord has me in Genesis 11, and this morning He stopped me He stopped me in verse 3, but then I went into verse 4, and it just got even more. So I have a feeling that through the rest of the chapter, obviously, He will be teaching much more. But it was so clear, this teaching, that I knew I needed to tell you as well. So we are in Genesis 11 and it's just verses 1 through 4. So I'm going to read to you these verses, and I'm also going to give you the Hebrew of some of these key words, okay? Okay, so starting in verse 1. Now the whole earth used the same language, which means they were one lip. Literally, it says that. And the same words. And it came about, as they journeyed east, that they found a plain in the land. First, I want to just make sure that you catch on that they use the same words. Okay, word is the bar and does mean word. Okay, now so Yeshua was the word, right? But they use their own words. This is going to be important. And they found a plain in the land. Now the word plain means to cleave, to rend, like tear, to break, rip open, and it's a picture of a valley. So it's like the land ripping open and displaying a valley. So it is a broken, ripped area, and the land is called Shinar, or Shinar, and that means rough bristles. So they're now in a land called rough bristles, and they settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks." Okay, now bricks is from 3843 in the Strongs, and it means whiteness, to be white, to make white. And burn, and that means, of course, to burn, consume, destroy, to be consumed with fire. Burn them thoroughly. And they used bricks. So these bricks that they made white through fire, they used bricks for stone. Okay, so we know who the ultimate stone is. And they used tar. All right, that is to smear with pitch. Now, from one of my other recordings, pitch comes from the root kafar, which is the same word that they get Kippur, Yom Kippur, which means covering or atonement. Okay, so who is our atonement? Yeshua. Anyway, they used pitch, an atonement that was glowing with redness. For mortar. Now, the word tar also means slime and from a pit. So the atonement, the covering they got from a pit. And they used it for mortar. And mortar is from 2563, and it means to smear with pitch, to smear clay. And what are we made of? Clay from the earth. So I rewrote this, and when you look at the word brick, It's to be made white, to be made look pure. So it's almost a picture of self-salvation. And the tar is the slime and pit that looks like pitch, looks like covering, looks like atonement. So tar or slime from a pit that looks like atonement. And of course, covering us who are made of clay. So when I rewrote it, I stated, okay, this is a picture of salvation, of self-salvation. So it is to be consumed, this fire, to be consumed in a broken area, this valley, to be consumed in a broken area and made strong and purified or made white with a consuming fire. They will become the stone and cover themselves with an atonement of slime from a pit, sealed and made strong in their own strength. Okay. And then I just kept going. This is one more verse. This is verse 4. And they said, "Come, let us build for ourselves a city and a tower whose top," which means the head or the point, the beginning, the best, a chief, a leader, whose top will reach into heaven. That means, of course, sky, heaven, abode. And let us make, to complete, to accomplish, and it's usually in conjunction with God's commands. Okay, let us make for ourselves a name, which is the word Shem, which means position, honor, authority, character, fame. For ourselves a name, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the earth. So they are making a new name for themselves, a new command, and they're going against God's command to go and be multiplied. They said, lest we be scattered. They don't want to do that command. They want to do their own command. They want a new beginning and to make their own command and stretched forth toward the heavens in a point. Okay. Anyway, think on that, because I'll tell you what I think it reminds me of. So I rewrote that, coupled with verse 3. So to make a new beginning, they wanted to make a new beginning and reach to heaven by making their own command of raising themselves up and staying in one place and becoming strong and pure, remember the white, in their own strength, essentially covered by their own provision of slime from a pit. They made their own command to stand in own strength versus obeying God's command to go in his strength and be multiplied. Okay, when I kept seeing this, the head, this top, this point who stretches for the heavens and is white. Okay, the Lord kept putting the picture of a steeple in my head. And that's what we've done. We've made this steeple and said, okay, this is the way. We are the place to go to get to the way, right? And that's a good picture. That's fine. But what are we covering ourselves with? Our own covering, our own atonement, or are we covering ourselves with Yeshua's atonement? Are we covering ourselves with our own slime from a pit? Or are we covering ourselves with Yeshua's blood. So we truly have to ask ourselves, are we making ourselves white? Are we making ourselves stretch to the heavens? Are we saying that we have this ability on our own? And there is good and there is bad that comes from these places of white that have a steeple. It's good because many are drawn, to the Lord in those places, and that's good. But we just have to be very, very careful that these places that we have built that show a picture of us stretching to the heavens, and I'm talking about basically a church building, that this is not the new salvation. Salvation comes from one, and we must always, always, always point to him, not to what this congregation or what this church provides to help make you white. So we must go back to the original command. I mean, we're saying, oh, gather, gather, gather here, gather here, and don't scatter. Gather here, and be one in unity, which is good. We need to be one in unity. But he did say, go forth and multiply. And so hopefully these congregations are, and not always pointing to, stay here, stay safe, stay in this fortress, not God's. So we must go back to the original command. We must tear down any high places, and we all have them. We all have them, and they must come down. All high places come down, and we must be covered in Yeshua's covering, his pitch, his blood, the fortified one. Go to him. On our own strength comes the pit. We get our own strength from the pit. We must go forth and multiply and let God be the one who lifts us up. So stay low and go, scatter, make disciples of all nations, teaching them to observe all that he has commanded us, and he is with us. And stay low, and he will rise us up. So, my fellow bondservant, I will stay low with you if you stay low with me, and together we will be lifted up. May the name of Yeshua be praised. All glory and praise to him, the resurrected one who gives us atonement and new life. Blessings.